Good afternoon. My name is Adam Nelson, and this is my final exam submission for Physical Hazards 1309. Today we'll be talking about some of the physical hazards that are associated with my job. I'm currently employed as a health, safety, environmental specialist at a steam electric power station here in the state of Texas. We'll start off with some general safety information. Your safety and the safety of all workers on this project site is paramount. Maintain situational awareness and have a questioning attitude at all times. If you do not understand how to perform a task, do not understand the directions from your supervisor on how to perform that task, or see an unsafe condition, do not continue. Contact your supervisor immediately. You must not work without instructions from your supervisor. Before you can begin work, a pre-job brief must be completed. Here at our site, there are certain personal protective equipment that must be worn. Our standard PPE requirements are as follows: a hard hat with the bill positioned to the front, eye protection with rigid side shields, Monty goggles, hearing protection, hand protection, and foot protection. Note, if you are within 5 foot of an operation that requires additional PPE, you must wear the additional PPE also. As you move around our facility, you may also see barricades. Work areas must be properly barricaded according to the hazards present. There are 3 different kinds of barricades on our site. The first is danger or red barricade. It's used to identify lifts, overhead work, excavations, or any work that creates a severe safety hazard to personnel in the area. Red barricades cannot be entered without permission from the person who had erected them. When erected, they must be logged into the control room. Caution or yellow barricade. This is used for caution and can be crossed if you are aware of the hazards present and it is safe to do so. Green barricade. Green barricade is used to identify material storage areas or material that has been kept for reinstallation. Barricade tape must be erected at a minimum of waist height on all 4 sides of the hazard. All sides of the barricades must have an information tag and them stating who erected it and how to contact that person. Injuries, incidents, and near misses. All injuries, vehicle, equipment, or property damage, near miss incidents, unsafe conditions must be reported to the supervisor and the safety department immediately. All incidents must be documented on the STA form during the post-job brief. Off-site medical treatment will be provided and coordinated through the HSE department when requested or needed and shall be activated by the control room. Do not call 911. Facility awareness. As the facility ages, it is important to be observant and aware of conditions that could create a safety hazard. Keep your eyes open for damaged light or electrical fixtures, corroded structural steel, loose grating, and the general condition of your work area. Bloodborne pathogens. Blood, body fluids, and tissues must be considered potentially infectious and capable of transmitting bloodborne diseases. Therefore, if you are not assigned to treat injured employees on the project site, you must avoid contact with these items at all times. If you do come in contact with any of these items, accidentally or on purpose, you must notify the HSE supervisor immediately so appropriate actions can be taken to ensure your health and well-being. Confined spaces. A confined space is defined as any space that is large enough and so configured that an employee can bodily enter and perform work, has limited or restricted means of entry or exit, and is not designated for continuous human occupancy. Such areas included but not limited to vessels, trenches, manholes, dumpsters, sewers, pits, etc. Therefore, check with your supervisor before entering any area that meets the requirements of a definition of a confined space. Respiratory protection. There are several areas in this and certain types of work on the project site that require respiratory protection. Before you're allowed to wear a respirator, you must first be qualified to do so. Combustible dust. Combustible dust is defined as any material that is presents a fire hazard when suspended in the air or on some oxidizer. Some examples of combustible dust are metal dust such as aluminum and magnesium, wood, coal, and plastic dust. Some of these dusts, especially coal dust, are present on this project site. Heat-related illnesses. Heat-related illnesses can occur to employees who work in hot environments without taking necessary precautions. Start slowly and build up to more physical work in order to condition yourself for the hot environment and get plenty of sleep at night. Take advantage of fan and air conditioners and dress in light-colored, lightweight clothing. Take breaks before you feel overheated or start to get a headache. Cool off before you begin work. Drink plenty of liquids. Water and electrolyte drinks are the best way for replacing lost fluids and minerals. Do not drink caffeinated drinks such as coffee, soda, or energy drinks. Housekeeping. Work areas must be kept clean and free of debris at all times. When setting up work areas, they should be set up to allow for good housekeeping. Appropriate trash bags and scrap containers should be positioned in all work areas. Housekeeping should be performed before starting work, during work as needed, and at the end of each break and the end of each shift. Falling objects. It is your responsibility to control all items in your work area and prevent them from falling to lower elevations. Note, tool lanyards are available in the tool room to help control these items. Also, sash cords and ropes can be used to assist in preventing items from falling. Make sure your work is not creating a hazard to those below you and that there is no work or items above you causing hazards to you. Always barricade the area below you if you are creating an overhead hazard. Hot work activities. A hot work permit is required for all spark-producing activities, and a fire extinguisher is required to be within 20 feet of a hot work activity. A fire watch will be required and must have no other duties other than observing the hot work activities, and must remain at the work area for at least 30 minutes after hot work has been completed. Prior to beginning the task, the work area and areas below must be inspected for combustibles and or flammable materials so they can be removed from the work area or protected. Hazard communication. Hazard communication standard was established by OSHA in an effort to reduce the potential for injuries and illness in the workplace when dealing or working with hazardous chemicals. There is Texas House Bill number 1112, Right to Know Law, which states any employee working in the state has a right to know about any type of hazardous chemical or material that he or she may come in contact with in the workplace. Hoist safety. When required to use a hoist, make sure you're familiar with and qualified to safely use it. Manufacturer's manuals must be available for reference or use if needed. Hoist use must be addressed and discussed during the pre-job brief. Ladders. All ladders must be inspected prior to use and must be tied off at the top. All extension ladders and straight ladders must extend a minimum of 3 feet above the landing and secured at the bottom also. Step ladders are not intended to gain access to other elevations. A straight ladder should be used in these cases. Lockout tagout. All supervisors who perform work on equipment or systems requiring lockout tagout will be issued green locks and tags to control the energy sources while the work is being performed. Employees working on equipment requiring lockout tagout will be signed on to master tags that are issued to the supervisors who have their locks and tags on a lockbox protecting the system from being re-energized while the work is being performed. 480 volt cords. Power switches must be in the off position prior to plugging or unplugging any 480 volt equipment. Only a qualified person or electrician may plug in or unplug any 480 volt plug. Lead awareness. All painted and galvanized surfaces on the project site are considered to contain lead until testing has been performed to determine if lead is present or not. If lead is present, it must be abated by a lead abatement contractor before employees can work on the equipment. Anhydrous ammonia. Anhydrous ammonia is a poison and a corrosive alkali solution that can cause burns and is harmful or fatal if swallowed. No work is allowed to be performed on any tank or line containing ammonia or on the ammonia system itself without prior approval from site and project management. Asbestos awareness. Items or materials that do not contain asbestos are marked with green bands. Items or materials that could contain asbestos are marked with red bands. Items or materials that could contain asbestos and are not marked with a red or green band are considered to contain asbestos until they have been checked by a lab and are confirmed to be asbestos-free. Work will not be performed on items containing asbestos until asbestos has been properly and safely removed from the equipment by the asbestos abatement contractor. By using some of these safe work practices, you can work at this facility in a safe manner. Thank you for your time.